Hello guys, welcome back. We're having a relatively good day. We are aware of the tragedy in Paris, which is why we made you two back-to-back music videos, one last night and one today, because I was like, well, for the one last night it was really hard, because I wanted to give you guys some comfort, but I'm like, cheerful doesn't seem very respectful. Sad's just going to make you feel worse, so we tried to hit the middle. And this morning we tried to make a more hopeful vid. And it's in the 40s up there. That is cold in America because it's like right above freezing out there right now. And tomorrow's going to be in the 70s, so we're having a crazy spring weather. For us, the day's been going pretty good, and it seems like the manifestation's back on track, and Loki and Odin are both here. And I've noticed I've changed since I'm working more with Odin. I was walking up to get us eggs because I was like, in light of all the tragedies that have happened recently and that, why don't we do something for Easter? We're not going to do it in the Catholic sense, but why don't we go ahead and go do something? Well, we go to the Dairy Queen, and these people are either nice and almost crawling out the window to see you, or they hate you. Today was they hated me day. I got up there to order, and she says, "We'll be with you in just a minute," and slammed the window in my face. And then I heard the manager fussing over somebody in the drive-thru going, "Oh, I'm so sorry, we're giving you this one free and we're going to give you another one free and here's a coupon for a third one." I'm like, what the actual hell? When you have messed up my orders recently and you've done it twice, you didn't apologize and kiss my ass. So I got really pissed off, but I was standing there and my family used to have a saying, don't cut off your nose to spite your face. Don't. I was like, you know what? They can take our food and shove it up their hiney. So I walked across the street. And because nobody was coming to the window, they were just letting me stand there. So I walked across the street, and I'm like, screw it. I'm taking that food money, and I'm spending it over here. So even though I'm just getting over whatever it is that I've been having, and Odin and Loki are like hovering, and they're like, do you even feel good enough to shop? And I'm like, yeah. And I looked at the burgers, and I was like, ugh, I can't eat a burger right now. So I got some stuff, and I got us some indulgent treats for Easter. I got Loki one Princess Kinder Egg and one Star Wars one. We split it. Odin got two very fancy chocolate bars, and I got myself beef jerky in like a plastic tub. You know those little small ones? They look like tobacco chew. So we got that, and I got like bread and eggs and stuff, and I was like, well, this will be my shopping for the week, and that means no online order, but this will be fine because it's for the Holy Week. And I was like, well, we do have to kind of balance. If I feel like doing something, to do it as a nice gesture, and for pagans, it's really not a thing, though some pagans will argue till the day they die that Easter should really be the date of Ostera, and we shouldn't just have it on the equinox. I don't know. I don't get into fights with people. I do. Anyhow, our day's going pretty good. And then the guy showed up and cut my lawn, so I'll have a cut lawn for Easter, I guess. He was only supposed to come after Easter, and this is why I kind of don't like this guy sometimes, because if you don't keep an eye on him, he'll be sneaky. He'll try to come in earlier and earlier. And I've had to before watch him because he'll try to come every week, even though he's supposed to come every other week. And I've said, well, you won't get paid till next week. And then he straightens himself out, so I'll just keep an eye on him. The lawn does look super nice, though. He did a nice job. He was sober this time. And it's just been a really good day so far. And we didn't want to make a video and talk about Notre Dame de Paris because it is a global icon and it is sort of a global cultural heritage site. And we've talked before about how, according to my personal experience, any god can go into anything, so it's kind of like all the gods lost something. But we know it was just a simple accident. We know that now. It was not their god visiting his divine wrath on his people. It wasn't our gods getting petty revenge. It was just an accident. It wasn't arson. It wasn't anyone trying to make a political or religious statement. It was just an accident. It was sad and unfortunate because the building is what, over 800 years old at this point, I think. So it was sad and unfortunate, and they said it is going to take 15 to 20 years to rebuild. This isn't like, you drive by one day and the lot's bare and drive by the next day and there's a complete Walmart there. It doesn't go up quite that fast. So, it's a shame that they lost it, and I do feel sad for them, and I feel sad for their god. He's got enough problems on his hands, and he's got this too, and the boys felt sympathetic and sad. All the gods were kind of coming around me like, they don't know what to do. We do know the two limitations gods have, and we don't know why, is that they can't build an artificial temple for themselves. They already have nature, but they're never going to build a stone temple for themselves, so far as we know. And they're never going to be able to protect that temple. If we think it needs protected, if we think it needs guards or fire safety or something else, then we have to do it. I do know that we were all wondering, why there wasn't like some kind of system, but I guess with the architecture and structure, it just either they couldn't do it or it was in place and it failed. But we are sad for the people of Paris. I mean, this is their holy week. Easter, I can tell you, I grew up Catholic. Easter and Christmas are the two highlights, and Easter is joyous because he is risen and his mom's happy, he's happy, because remember, this is the Virgin Mary's church. And I went to look up the Virgin Mary and look up her animals, because as I was trying to think of an idea for a video of, to comfort you guys, I was like, I forget, even though I was a Night of the Immaculata, I was like, I really don't remember any animals being associated with her other than, nice animals like maybe a dove or a lamb or something. And I was like, well, that's a little too on the nose. And I wanted to see if she had another association. And there was stuff like, you could use a cat or you could use all these other animals. I'm thinking, the Virgin Mary I worked with, if it was the actual Virgin Mary and it wasn't like one of the gods cosplaying, I heard laughter back there. She was sweet and kind. She wasn't the hysterical Doommeister that she usually is when she appears in the Catholic Church. As she appears, it's usually something's terribly wrong, and God is really disappointed in you people. No, she was always kind and gentle, a nice mother figure when I worked with her, but I felt bad for her, and I felt bad for her son. I felt bad for the whole extended family, because remember, this is a god that had a mommy and a daddy, and he had brothers and sisters and everything, and they were all taken away from him. And they said, this is the only God. I'm like, no, he's not. There are plenty of gods. He even admits, he's like, look, I know there are other gods, but you can just have me. And I'm like, did he even say that? Did anybody ask him, or did the priest just say this? I think the priest just said this. Why don't you go ask him yourself? And that's the difference in paganism and in, say, more mainstream religion. They have books and leaders to tell them how to think, and we have to think for ourselves. And I'm not trying to be insulting, because of course they have theologians and that do think for themselves. But they can also be kicked out and called heretics too, if they go too far out in color outside the line. So, food for thought. Our thoughts and prayers are with you, if you had a sentimental attachment or you had some kind of spiritual attachment to Notre Dame. For them, it's a really important thing. I know that. I've noticed all these travel meditation things, they always go to these Christian sites as if there are only Christians in the world. But that's they're so habitualized to that in their culture, that's the only thing. Now, as a pagan, I really am at the point where I don't mind, though if they have a tour guide that tells you about the terrible pagans, I will say, hey, I happen to be a pagan, and I didn't appreciate that part of this tour. You have people other than Christians watching this. Clear your language out. So, it's a thing we have to learn to coexist in harmony, and we have to have empathy for them. If we want to have circles, and we want to have a place to go worship Odin or Loki or whatever god we serve, we have to have respect for them, and have respect to their right to gather and worship. And it's not they get to dominate or we get to dominate. We get to coexist peacefully and respect one another. I know in America that's a lot to hope for, but the vast majority of people will leave you alone. As long as you're not doing something that frightens them, they'll leave you alone. And we all know there have been heathen groups that seem to go out of their way to go to a very public, very visible park and put on almost theatrical staging. There are woods, dude. There are woods where you can go and ask if you can, ask permission first and say, can we go here and be private and be left alone? You don't have to go, especially where outsiders who don't understand might see it and just kind of freak out. But I do have all the sympathy in the world for them. It's no longer my religion, but you guys know I was going to become a nun at one point. I actually want to become a priest. I don't think it was right that women were regulated to just be nuns and not get to do anything, but that's another reason I'm no longer Catholic. So if you guys like what you see, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.